what is Gordon Ramsay really like in person when the cameras are not rolling.
He's not just this angry old man. He's fun, and he's actually funny, and he's inspiring, and he'll tell you if he likes you, and he'll tell you if he doesn't. That's for sure.
Gordon gave me a perfect score, and that was just super surreal. And so it gave me a weird feeling of like, all right, now what? Like, you know what I mean? Like you had the best chef, one of the best chefs in the world, just score you like a perfect dish and say that was one of the best dishes he's ever had. And it's like you have to continue the season. Like, I'm ready to go home right now.
Right. I'm the best. What do you mean?
Milwaukee's great because it's up and coming, and when you can do new things, people really appreciate it. And they want to see new things.
Right. Your first level, you're getting the cheese curds, the fish fry, the brewery tours. Level 2, it's like, okay, now I'm looking for more of the hidden gems. I have a good feel of Milwaukee.
I mean, grandmothers are the OG chefs.
Right. They throw down.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Michelin star restaurant. It could be something casual. It could be all encompassing. As long as it just tastes good and it's good to look.
I would say the number one thing with being a chef is just like patience and then using a knife correctly.
Kate kind of came up to me afterwards like, hey, I'm trying to start this business. Like, how do I get this out there? And, I said, first, man, find 3 people and do it for free.
Hello, welcome to the Milwaukee Flavor podcast, hosted by Visit Milwaukee.
I am Jamar Jones, the founder of Forever Media, national keynote speaker, and the author of the book Change Your Circle, Change Your Life, and I'll be the co-host for this amazing show.
Yeah, today we are talking about Hell's Kitchen. We'd love for our guests to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about your background.
And what you got going on currently as well. Go ahead, start with the Sakari.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Chef Sakari Smithwick. I'm chef and founder of Noble Promise, 29 years old, and based here in New York City.
Dope, welcome.
All right, and I'm Chef Adam Pawlak, chef and owner of Egg and Flour Pasta Bar right here in Milwaukee. I'm 34 and just doing private chefing and running the restaurant and traveling and cooking and doing podcasts and Zoom calls and anything in between, TV shows, whatever. It's been a crazy ride, crazy summer so far.
Nice, welcome.
Amazing. So both of you were on Hell's Kitchen, right? Same season, different seasons?
Different season.
Yeah, different.
I would love to hear about your experiences.
Zakari, what season were you on?
I was on 21. How about you, Adam?
Okay, I was 19. Do you want me to start first and we'll see how different it really is?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's do it.
Yeah, so 19 was a crazy one. The thing that was really special about our season is that it was the first time they moved out of Cali and they actually filmed and hosted everything in Las Vegas. So that was really cool. And Las Vegas has a special spot in my heart. So it made it even easier to say yes. But it was just cool to do something different. I grew up watching that show. I watched every season, every episode, knew all the contestants and follow along with everything. So being able to get the call for that was pretty wild. But now it's been almost 4 years. It's been 5 years since filming, 3.5 since airing. So it was a crazy time. And between filming and the show airing was COVID. So it was a long wait, 2-year wait.
Jeez.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, my experience was like, it was during COVID as well, but I had the opposite, Adam. I never watched not one episode of Hell's Kitchen. Didn't even really, I mean, of course, Gordon, but I feel like when you're a chef in the chef world, you don't really watch too many shows too often, at least I don't. But when I got the call, I definitely thought it was a great opportunity. And man, it was during COVID. And so like we had to quarantine for like 2 weeks just before we could even like shoot the show. And then every day you're getting tested constantly. And so it's like a crazy experience, but wouldn't change anything in the world. It was a blast.
Dope. And what are some, just real quick, what are some common myths about Hell's Kitchen? Like, is it, does the platform give you a huge boost into what you're doing next? What is Gordon Ramsay really like in person when the cameras are not rolling? From the contestants, like what is that competition like? like for real. Obviously, we see little snippets and what's going on, but like, yeah, what are those common myths that you guys can bust for us so that way we can really understand the show and what it does?
Yeah, so for me, I can tell you that you don't really hang out with Gordon Ramsay unless the cameras are on. The only time I really hung out with Gordon Ramsay was like right after the finale ended. They're like, all right, you can take your mics off. And that was like the most liberating feeling in the world to unstrap that microphone and all that.
Yeah.
But then no more cameras, and really just like thanking him. It's not like you're sitting down having deep conversations, but it's cool to be able to hang out and see and talk to him when there is no cameras or whatever. But yeah, there's no time that you're hanging out with him without a camera on. He's on set and he's there when he needs to be there and whatnot. So that's one thing I will say is it's not like he just comes by and starts chatting with you. They're like, cut the cameras. But so that's one thing I will touch on, just say, you know, you don't get a lot of time with him. And the time that you do, if it's like outside of like winning a challenge or something, and then like you have lunch, like I had lunch at Nobu with him after winning a challenge or whatnot. Cameras are still on, but he's a lot more genuine and easygoing and whatnot than I think people think. He's obviously a father of 6 kids and a husband. So like, he's not just this angry old man. You know, there's not a lot for him to be angry about. He's very successful and he's a good personality. But like, I think a lot of chefs, you know, if your cooks or if the people that are working for you are messing up or sending up raw food, I get mad too. You know, I think we all get mad if we're at our team. And I don't know about throwing lobster at their face, but he gets a little bit more attention and whatnot for his angry stuff. But I think people need to know, like I've seen him in other shows, or, you know, even Kitchen Nightmares, when he's really trying to get into someone's head and say, hey, you can do this and you don't have to, you know, if there's struggles. Or the Master Chef Junior is like the perfect example of how he really is like he really wants people to do good, and he has a good heart. And
we were just talking about
he's
that
fun,
before the show.
and he's actually funny, and he's inspiring, and he'll tell you if he likes you and he'll tell you if he doesn't. That's for sure.
100%. I mean, I think he says it best where it's like, it's not personal, it's professional. And so the first question everyone always asks me is just like, how is Gordon really like? How is he really like on the camera? And I think he's the same across the board, because like to Adam's point, the cameras are always on. You know what I mean? But he really is a sweetheart. You know, anytime that you do with him, he really wants the best out of you. He really wants you to succeed. And you could just see his knowledge just kind of pouring over. And two, like, I don't know if everyone's heard, but he just had a really bad accident.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah. It's crazy.
He had a terrible accident. And for him to be able just to, you know, be so strong to give that message out and just to give perspective to people, I think was just incredible. So that kind of shows what kind of person he is as well. And so,
and it's good that we can all see that he's human and he's not made of, he's not a machine, you know, he can't get hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, he went down finally in the worst way.
It's crazy.
But yeah, that was, it was just different to see him. I feel like he was a little bit more vulnerable in that video when he was just saying, hey, wear a helmet. I'm happy to be here. And then he showed his bruise, and it was brutal, man.
It was,
Yeah. And what about the platform as a whole? Like, did like the aftermath of Hell's Kitchen? Like, what did that do for your guys' careers, your businesses? Like, how did that really propel? Like, what was some real things that happened after?
It gave us relevance, right, to what's going on, right? Like, the season's out. I think, you know, I mean, millions and millions of people are seeing your face on national television, especially on a channel like Fox. And so people would come up to me. I mean, security guards would come up to me, and I thought I was like in trouble. And they're like, hey, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah.
So it helped kind of get your face out there, familiarity. I think it gave it relevance to what you're doing. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest lesson for me was like, no matter what, you're still going to have to put in the work. And so no matter what television show you do, whether it's Chopped, whether it's Top Chef, whether it's Hell's Kitchen, you know, you're really just going to have to kind of use that moment and propel it yourself. And so it gives you a moment. It's kind of like a rap battle, right? Right. You know what I mean? Like it's a moment in history. Yeah. But it's over. Like, life goes on. You still got to keep pushing. You still got to be relevant. You got to find your own ways to just keep going. So I think that was the biggest lesson.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of crazy. When I got back from being gone over a month, I opened my restaurant like 4 days after I got back, and no one even knew that I was like on the show or whatever. Actually, a lot of people thought I was just dead. They thought that I went from like posting 3 times a day to like not at all for a month, that my mom and my dad are getting calls like, is your son alive still?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is kind of crazy, but kept coming back to open the restaurant. And then I think that was the most important thing for me, is like not even being able to tell people or try to like say, oh, I did this or whatever, but just knowing myself that like, hey, I just did this crazy experience, and I was hanging out with Gordon Ramsay for a month, and now I'm going to open my first restaurant and really just like go crazy, knowing that I have that secret in the back pocket. It kind of inspired me even more. Yeah. So I had my restaurant for like, I would say 2 years before the show even came out. So people got to know me a little bit more through the restaurant, and just being in Milwaukee is a little bit smaller city. So it's easier to kind of shine a little bit brighter, and you're not worried about, there's not a lot of like competition where all the chefs hate each other. We're kind of all like friends and do a lot of events together and stuff like that. But it just kept me going, and I knew like at one day that Fox was gonna hit me up and say, hey, it's ready to announce. It's ready to announce. So I was just like trying to do really good work before that, so that I had a good foundation, so that when it was announced, people weren't like, oh, screw this guy. They were like, oh, I'm really happy for him, and that's just another step in the right direction. So for me, it was like, it wasn't like the show came out and then I opened a restaurant because of the being on TV. It was kind of cool it went the other way around, where it was like I had my restaurant super successful. We were already building the second location even, and had that one open before the show even came out. And then when I started building my third location, that's when we announced the show, and that's when like all chaos broke loose, and people were just like, no way, like, no way. We have someone from Milwaukee. And there was someone from Milwaukee a long, long time ago, I think like season 7 or 8, but I don't really, that was just a little bit out of my time.
Yeah.
But being able to like show off and being able to get really excited about what happened was awesome.
Super dope. Super dope. It just seems like the experience in a whole like was kind of like a blip, almost like in your guys' careers. Like it happened. It was a moment, and then it sounds like from both of you, like then you just went back to, either starting a restaurant, getting your business going. Like it just, and it's like either some people saw it, and because millions of people viewed it, or some people just weren't in the loop. And like then you tell people, they're like, oh shoot, okay. So it's that credibility piece that keeps building for you even over time. And was there something like through that experience that you like it really helped your culinary experience, that the art and the craft of you doing the amazing work that you guys do in the kitchen? Like did it really help push forward your skills? Or do you feel like it was more for just TV and you went in there just knowing what you know?
For me, the number one thing that I like took from it, or like it helped with me, was like confidence. Cause like cooking in front of like for the best chef or all these judges coming on, or cooking on TV, and you knew that all these people were going to be watching. It's like, hey, now it's like I cook for Gordon Ramsay. Like I don't get nervous if I have to go on like this, like a podcast, or go on a stage and do a demo, or talk to someone, or even cook for, I cook for a lot of athletes and celebrity people doing private chef work. And like, I'm like, hey, if I could do Gordon Ramsay, I can do you. And like, that really helped, is knowing like the biggest things are like when you win a challenge or you're doing food and he's really loving it. It's like, you don't so much learn new cooking techniques or new styles. You kind of just learn to adapt and work it with what you're given. And then it's more of like a validation for me to be like, hey, I did this. He loved it. And also the things that I messed up on are the things that I learned from him, saying like, hey, do this another way or whatever. But definitely the confidence, and that actually this is kind of off topic, but that kind of helped me with the other 2 shows that I did after, years later.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think for me, it was a really weird situation for me because, I came from fine dining, and then I kind of just started working on my media stuff. And so before I came on the show, it was actually like a year or something like that without me actually cooking in a kitchen. And so when I was going on the show, I was super, not nervous, but just concerned of like, yo, I haven't cooked. Like, how's it going to go? And then the first day I ended up winning the challenge and Gordon gave me a perfect score. And that was just super surreal. And so it gave me a weird feeling of like, all right, now what? Like, you know what I mean? Like you had the best chef, one of the best chefs in the world, just score your like a perfect dish and say that was one of the best dishes he's ever had. And it's like, you have to continue the season. Like, I'm ready to go home right now.
Right. I'm the best. What do you mean?
I'm good.
This is it. And so for me, that's kind of how I started off. And then to go through the actual show, it's actually a real show. It's like a boot camp, and they're trying to truly try to poke and pry at everything that you got going on. And so I think it taught me less about cooking and more about myself, right? And then it taught me about how to find your voice, how to make mistakes and own up to them, how to take different lessons from each episode, each person. Like they had Tony Hawk came on the show for our season. Right. And now Tony Hawk is a legend in his industry, right? And then so it's like, how does someone like that stay relevant for so long? How does someone stay consistent? And he talked to us. He said, I'm always working on my craft every single week. He says, if I miss a week, I feel like I'm like losing it. I'm like, oh, I'm losing it. I gotta get back to it. And so like that, just that little nugget, it just made me realize like, okay, I have to constantly keep cooking. Even if I'm not in a restaurant, if I am in a restaurant, whatever it is, like every week, every day, I have to keep working on my craft, because if not, you actually end up losing it to the capacity that you're used to. So every challenge, every day was definitely a learning lesson, and I think it was 100% real.
Yeah. That's almost sounds like the Mamba mentality, or the Jordan. Like you gotta work every day on it.
The 10,000 hour rule, right? Like you have to reach those 10,000 hours.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Miranda, did you have anything you want to ask them?
Sure. So since, this is presented by Visit Milwaukee, Sakari, have you ever been to Milwaukee?
I've never been to Milwaukee, but I do love Giannis Antetokounmpo, and so like, and Damian Lillard. I know the basketball team. That's what I know about Milwaukee.
Okay. So this fall, you got to make a trip. Once basketball season is back up and running. From one chef to another, Adam, how would you describe, the experience of living, working, if you're there, being in the Milwaukee culinary scene, one chef to another?
Yeah, Milwaukee's great. Like I said, there's not a lot of competition. It's more so like helping each other out. And it makes it easier because you're more so trying to make experiences together. But, supporting restaurants, and people really want to come see what you're doing. And I do a lot of collaborative things. Like my number one thing is being like a collaborative chef. So doing events, charity events, all that together with other chefs and bringing our skills together, which is like a huge thing. Bigger cities, there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of, hate for other chefs or chefs that have worked at restaurants and then kind of moved on to other ones. And, we don't see a ton of that here, but Milwaukee's great because it's up and coming. And when you can do new things, people really appreciate it. And they want to see new things. And it's not like you have to worry about copying or, doing something else or something different. It's cool when you have a new idea or a new concept, or people really embrace it and they give it a chance. So then it's your job to let it fly and to keep them around and keep them coming in the doors.
Yeah.
I love that. Adam, I have a question for you. Like, since I've never been to Milwaukee, like, how would you describe the Milwaukee food scene? Like what kind of foods? Like, if I go and after I watch Damian Lillard and Giannis score up some points, like what am I gonna eat? Like,
so like the cool thing about Milwaukee is like there's everything from James Beard winners and really decorated chefs to fine dining. You can do tasting menus and all that stuff, all the way to people that maybe don't have a $3 million beautiful built out restaurant, but they gave everything they possibly had. They dropped their last dollar into their restaurant. They might have reclaimed seats, or the place they just took over an existing restaurant, maybe put some paint on the wall. but the food shows, and it's food that they really love. I don't think a lot of people in Milwaukee open restaurants unless they're that's their food, that's their culture, that's what they want to do. You don't see chefs just being like, hey, I'm Sicilian, I don't have a French restaurant or a taco restaurant or something like that. I feel like everyone that's opening things here, it's food that they really love, and it shows, and they can speak on it and teach other people about it. But just small restaurants all the way up to the fine dining. But I would say when you go to a restaurant, you're mostly, 85% of the time, the owner or the chef is there. I know that's a little bit different in the bigger cities where sometimes they're off doing other things, or they're at events or whatever, or they're at another restaurant that they own. But I feel like a lot of the time, there's a good chance that you're going to meet the chef. He's going to be cooking or expediting or touching your food or making sure your food's good, which I think is really important. And super welcoming in Milwaukee, especially when we find out that you're not from here. It's like, oh shit, send something out to that table.
Yeah.
We've never had him here. He's even if you are from here and it's your first time, I feel like the hospitality and like the love is super, super, like loving. And then you get into another world where you're like, yeah, I am a chef, or I'm in the culinary world, or I'm in the hospitality world. Take it up to another level. We just want to show our city, and I think that's something that's really important to what we do.
Give them like three restaurants. Obviously, Egg and Flour, but where else can he go? Because I know Sakari, when he hits the city, I mean, if you follow him on social, when he hits the city, dude, he goes deep, man. He be going to the backyard. He be going, for the fine dining. He be in the back kitchens. He literally wants to taste exactly what that town's got to offer, like every time. So give him three spots like he's got to hit when he's here.
All right, three spots that you got to hit. I would say San Giorgio Pizzeria. It's just like the only certified pizza that we have down here. Not in Wisconsin, but in the city. So Neapolitan pizza. Man, this is tough. You're putting me on the spot here.
That's what I do, man.
And I'm giving up all my secret spots. I'm just trying to think of spots that I go to a lot. There's this place by me called Alberto's. It's on like 7th and National, so it's a taco spot, super legit. The whole family is doing everything, small spot. So if you like that, we have the pizza. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Your spot, the taco spot, and the pizza spot.
Yeah, Egg and Flour.
Yeah, and then I would say there's a place called Lupe and Iris, and that's a James Beard winner.
Yeah, Lupe and Iris is good.
Forever. Adam Siegel, really, really nice Mediterranean, Italian, very high-end, that Chicago, New York vibes to it. Really beautiful drinks. And if you like to party, I don't know if you drink or not, but that's pretty easy to find. There's bars in different places and really cool cocktail lounges and hidden spots that are definitely welcoming to the drinker or non-drinker. We drink so much that it's popular to have NA cocktails.
Yeah. That's starting to blow up.
You're almost cooler if you serve an NA cocktail than if you just serve your normal good cocktail list.
Love it.
Dope. Yeah, I would say the just to echo that, the bar scene, because like you got to have some cheese curds while you're here. Like some real like cheese curd. Like this is where it's from. And I would say Lakefront Brewery. Yeah, Lakefront Brewery.
Great cheese curds.
You got to get the cheese
beer.
curds.
You have to pair them together. If you're here on a Friday, you got to find a fish fry. There's some very Milwaukee
those are
food
things that
traditions.
I wanted to say, but it's like those are like known, cheese curds, fish fry.
But this is what he's got to experience.
Right. At Visit Milwaukee, we talk about like levels of tourism, right? Your first level, you're getting the cheese curds, the fish fry, the brewery tours. Level 2, it's like, okay, now I'm looking for more of the hidden gems. I have a good feel of Milwaukee. That's when you go to Berto's for the tacos,
I need all the levels. I need level 1.
Because he gonna hit them all. That's
what? You come to Milwaukee and then you make the list for us. Yeah.
For sure. I will take you around. I would say, this is kind of biased, but I would say I am the most supportive, and I'm probably the chef that goes out the most to eat to different places out of anyone. Because my restaurant's fast casual. So I can be there sometimes and I don't have to be there all the time. So I really like going out to dinner, and I like seeing different chefs and trying out different foods. So
Yeah.
There's so much stuff. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, the thing that's great about it, though, like I said, is that everyone's doing what their specialty is and what they love, so that you're going into a good spot. And visit Milwaukee. They have the real list of what's
they got the
on.
We have all
list.
everything you could need on your visit. We got you covered.
Boom.
Yeah. Well, how's so we kind of talked about Milwaukee, but I'm interested to hear the contrast between like New York's scene. And I know you travel a lot too, so obviously you get to experience a lot of different places. But from New York, let's hear about those contrasts so we can just see kind of what the differences are.
Yeah, 100%. When you said that, I just got chills actually, because we just lost one of the greatest chefs in the world.
Yep.
Chef James Kent, and he really embodied what New York City cooking was about. And to see him at 45 years old really like just unexpectedly pass was something that really just shocked the world, man. And it shocked the world. It shocked our industry, but it shocked New York City specifically, because all of the people that I grew up with cooking and fine dining and all these restaurants, were really connected and really engaged with Chef James Kent. And the reason why was because, to Adam's point a little bit earlier, New York City or bigger cities can be very competitive. And also when you speak about fine dining, it has this stigma kind of attached to what you see now in shows like The Bear, which is like, leaders can be kind of chaotic sometimes. Leaders can be stressful sometimes. It can be very, very tough, right? And so coming from restaurants like we've worked at, 11 Madison Park, which is a restaurant that I worked at, it was #1 restaurant in the world, 3 Michelin stars. James Kent was actually the one of the old chef de cuisines there as well. And so to come from a high intense environment like that, but then to go on and to lead with kindness, lead with compassion, lead with this nurturing ability to want better for others, is something that was so special that it just really stood out, especially in a place like New York City, where it is so competitive, where you meet so many chefs that can be, not the pleasantest, you know what I mean? And I think that's why this hit really hard for a lot of people. I haven't felt this way since Kobe passed. Like legit. And last time Kobe passed, I got a tattoo. And James Kent, I had an amazing conversation with him, and he was just so engaged and so wanting to help my career, and help pass the torch and things like that. And so that's kind of where the state of New York City is right now. We're really trying to recover from this hit and really trying to, as a young chef, really trying to pass the torch down and kind of carry on his legacy. He had a Michelin star restaurant called Crown Shy, right? Which is like unstuffy, shareable food, delicious food. He also had a restaurant, Saga, still has a restaurant, Saga, 2 Michelin stars. And then he also had Overstory, which was one of the best bars in the world, along with being in the Bocuse d'Or, which is known as the Olympics in the food world. So he's done some amazing accolades, amazing things, but just was a kind human being. So that's where we're at in New York City. But, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And also on a positive note, my boy Charlie Mitchell, first Black chef to win a Michelin star in New York City, amazing. Me and him grew up together too, cooking at 11 Madison Park. And he also just won James Beard best chef in New York.
Nice.
Amazing.
And so to see that, and the cat's only 31 years old, to see that, that's incredible. But one of the headlines from the James Beard, and for people that's not familiar with James Beard, it's like the Oscars, it's like the Grammys for food and cooking and stuff. And so there's a sense of there's not a lot of New York City restaurants really being listed in the James Beard winning awards. And so I think there was a headline that said this was the second year where New York City only took away 1 or 2 awards,
Right.
So amazing for Charlie Mitchell, 31 years old, African American, best chef in New York City, doing some amazing food at Clover Hill in Brooklyn. But also too, like it's a lackluster where there's not a lot of New York City chefs doing things, and so doing things being recognized for it. There's a lot of stuff happening, that people might not know about, but I think it gives younger chefs like me an opportunity to kind of just keep going. So
no, that's cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, you're always welcome to come through in Milwaukee, and I think any of us will give you an amazing tour of the place. And when I go out to New York, I do expect the same. I do expect the same.
As you should. We'll go to all the spots. We'll go to mom and pop shots. That's one thing about me. I really like people get intimidated because I'm a chef, right? I just love food. And like people think, well, I don't want to cook for you, car. I don't want to take you here. I don't want to do this. I just love food of all sorts. And so it could be from a street cart in New York City. It could be the halal chicken. It could be from a grandma. I mean, grandmothers are the OG chefs.
Right. Like, they throw down.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Michelin star restaurant. It could be something casual. It could be all encompassing, as long as it just tastes good and it's made with love.
So what would you say is the sign, like, how do I want to say this? What dish is like, if you can make this, you're a great chef?
I'm sure Adam has experiences as well, and I'll have him talk to it too. But I think a lot of times people like the omelet test. You go to these restaurants and you try to like get tested with a French omelet. Or also a rice too. If you like, sometimes people, if you mess up rice,
rice. That's the chef test. Rice.
Level one.
Rice is you can overcook it, you can undercook it. It's sometimes too sticky, and like you have to fluff the rice. And so like there's levels to get perfect rice. There's levels to a perfect omelet. I think there's a beauty in simplicity. If you're able to do the simple things right, then you're able to do a lot of things right. And so I think there's a lot of tests like that. How about you, Adam? What do you think?
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's like just eggs in general. And using eggs in dishes, people think is simple, but like they're the most versatile ingredient that you can use. But they can also really screw with you and mess with you, whether it's pastry or savory or whatever it is. Everyone says, oh, they can cook the perfect steak, but I mean, I think that's a fallacy. I think the perfect steak has a lot of technique to it and a lot of care and effort to do the perfect steak that just doesn't taste like anyone's. I like the rice comment because it's very difficult. People say, oh, I make rice at home all the time. Well, it's like, yeah, but is someone eating that rice that knows if it's under or if it's over? But definitely the eggs. I'm always biased too. I say pasta as well. If you can make a really great pasta, whether it's fresh or if you're just cooking dry pasta correctly and making a really good sauce and bringing it together and having the right texture and not over or under, that's kind of in the rice world. And also I'll throw risotto in there because that's like one of my favorite dishes to make that I feel like when they say once you do it 10,000 times, you've mastered it. And that's definitely a dish that hits my tasting menus or my private chef menus or even just cooking at home for people. I usually do that a lot, but I would say the number one thing with being a chef is just like patience and then using a knife correctly. Like let's start from the real basics is like knife skills and respecting your equipment and just respecting the area that you're cooking and prepping in is a huge thing. Cleanliness takes over good food anytime.
100%.
Absolutely.
I love a good risotto, Adam. I love a good risotto.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like it's the same thing like the rice thing. I mean, obviously it's arboreal rice, but it's like if it's under, it sucks. You can feel it in your teeth. If it's over, it's just mush, so being able to do it the right way, but it's also versatile. You can do thousands of things with it, different ingredients, and put proteins with it or keep it vegetarian or whatever it is. But, there's so many things that I think make a great chef that have to do with food that don't have to do with food at all either. So we could sit here all day and make a list of what makes a great chef, but there's probably other more exciting questions.
Yeah. Well, kind of on that point, I think a lot of people that will be watching this show, maybe aspiring chefs or getting into the culinary arts. So you guys both run successful businesses, and if somebody were to watch this, how can they get in to maybe either, let's do two ways, like if they wanted to work for you, and then also if how did you guys get into the culinary arts, and like what do they need to do today? It sounds like the basics. It's very very key. Fundamentals, just like in basketball, they say fundamentals, don't lose it because that's what you need. But like, what are the first few steps they need to take to get into this industry?
I mean, for me, it's all about patience. You're not going to go work at a restaurant for 1 year, then be an executive chef or be some superstar. I know we're talking, the title of the show is Hell's Kitchen, but if you're doing it to be on TV or you're doing it to be in front of a bunch of people or to throw a white chef jacket on, just pick another career right now and make cooking a hobby.
Become an actor.
Yeah, become an actor. There you go.
Yeah, that's not realistic, and I know it sounds horrible, but from someone that was on a show, you want it to be a big, inspiring thing about being on it. But like, those chances don't always happen. They may never happen your whole career, which doesn't mean that you're not an insanely talented chef. There's so many chefs in this world that don't even care about TV or cooking for, famous chefs or whatever. They're running restaurants for 25 years. They've never even done an interview before. Right. And their restaurant is successful, and they're very, very smart and knowledgeable and do insane things with food. But I would say be patient, find a good mentor, find someone that actually cares about what you want to do, and be very transparent about what you want your future to look like or what you want to get out of it. And then it's all about the grind. I know that's also a cliche thing, but I think it's like anything. If you're going to be a doctor, you're grinding for 12 years. You want to be an executive chef, you're grinding for 12 years. You have to put the work in, but it'll pay out as much as you put into it. So, staying overtime. And I'm not saying kill yourself, or just devote everything you got and never see your friends or family again, but make a lot of sacrifices in the beginning and do a lot of things that you normally wouldn't think so, but stay later, come early, be clean, help out, ask questions. But a big thing is finding a mentor and finding someone that you respect or you look up to, and then just drill them every day of how they got to where they are. And that is a very successful thing. And work in restaurants with food that you love. Yeah. Don't work in restaurants if you don't love the food, because you will not be successful. If you love Italian food, work in Italian restaurants. If you hate Indian food, don't go work at an Indian restaurant. You want to love what you're doing. You want to be excited to come to work. You don't want it to be a job. And if you find yourself in a kitchen or a restaurant and you're working front of house or back of house, whatever, and you don't love it, you need another profession.
Very well said, Adam. I think you hit so many points. I mean, it's funny. I mean, this is actually what I'm actually working on right now is my book. The book is going to be titled Savor Your Journey.
Oh, dope.
And the book is all about helping inspiring chefs and giving them guidance on how they can find their path. And so I think in the book, I speak a little bit about, self-awareness, which is really important. And because, at our state right now of the food industry, there's this stigma with the rise of social media where it's like, there's this debate almost of like food influencers versus chefs and, which one, and
we're way better. I'll put it out there.
You can feel it. And I speak to a lot of chefs all the time about this. And, for me, I think it actually helped our industry a little bit. Some chefs might feel like it actually took away from us. I think it helped make food more mainstream, but more just together as a whole, right? Almost now anyone can cook. You can put up your phone and you can love food and you can enjoy it. That doesn't mean you're a chef though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I think it all starts with self-awareness of like, where do you see yourself in the food industry? And it's not one is better than the other. It's not a chef is better than a cook or a grandmother cook or a media influencer or a food influencer or a food stylist or so on and so forth. It's just, there's so many different directions that you can go. And I think it all starts with self-awareness and really understanding yourself. And I think another thing that I speak about also is work for free. Find the best. If you want to be the best, you have to go find the best and like really use that leverage of working for free or working for nothing, just for knowledge. The whole, if you learn how to fish type of saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think don't worry about money for the first 5-10 years of your career. Worry about knowledge, and learning what is important to you. And so, I spent time in Europe. I spent time in the Netherlands and Italy and France. And like, I never cared about money. I always, and my family thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't care about money? What do you mean you're working for free? What do you mean you're doing, but you're gaining the knowledge, and that knowledge is going to help you later on. And so, but yeah, if there's anything that I could ever do for anyone like listening right now or watching, and you're an aspiring cook, aspiring chef, just hit me up. And I'm actually hiring for another project that I'm working on, which I can't announce yet, but but yeah, which is fun. But yeah, super open. I think a lot of times too, I really enjoy nurturing new people, like green people, because I think the most important thing, to Adam's point earlier about being a good chef, is really less about the skill set. It's more about being coachable, teachable. Can you listen? Are you going to come in on time? Are you clean? It's the how are you as a person more so than how are you as a chef, because those things can be taught over time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn how to cook a piece of salmon, you can go on YouTube and watch it 1,000 times. You should be able to cook salmon. But if someone says, hey, after the restaurant closes, you're going to be here 2 hours after, scrubbing, cleaning, drying, making sure everything's put in the same place, really nice, not kicking things under the stove or just overseeing. The number one thing I find out when I have a new hire is I'll drop something on the floor on purpose, and I'll see how long it takes or how many times they walk by that on the floor without picking it up. And I can tell someone's character and how they're going to be by just that one little thing. Is like, wow. I know you didn't put it on the floor, but if you're working in a space and you like to work in a clean space, or you know what's right, you'll pick that up and move on. It takes a second, and it just says a lot about someone, but it's just about everything. It's not about just, oh, I can cook the best filet, I can cook the best piece of fish. Like, yeah, you're supposed to be able to cook those things. That's part of the job. But going above and beyond will really make you more successful, is doing all those extra things. And you'll look back on and be like, thank God I did all those things early on, or someone really grilled me on being clean, or someone really grilled me on being organized, or making sure that I was on time or whatever, because it really does help down the road. And I mean, I'm only 34 and I learn something new every day. And I feel like my prime's not even going to come for another 10 years, which is inspiring and also scary at the same time, that I have another 10 years to just be going crazy. I'm tired already.
Yeah.
Patience, man. Patience. To your point, Adam, I remember when I was working at Maria, a chef I remember seeing something on the floor and I didn't pick it up. I stepped right over it. And I definitely heard about that. It was not fun.
There we go.
It was
not a challenge.
Yeah, I would never forget it though. And ever since that day, I remember seeing him like bend, and he would always bend straight, because like he had back problems, and a lot of times we're bending over, but he would always bend straight and pick up anything that's on the floor. And even now to this day, I do that just because of that one experience. And there's tons of experience like that, whether it's being clean shaved or being laid or all those types of things. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, man. It's the small things. I was just speaking to a university of kids. They're in high school, about 240 kids. And that's exactly what I was really going into, is like, kid kind of came up to me afterwards, like, hey, I'm trying to start this business. Like, how do I get this out there? And, I said, first, man, find 3 people and do it for free. Do it for free to get the experience, but also to get the testimonial that you can do these, that you actually can do this stuff. So you can have people support. So I think that mindset of it's not really like you're working for free. You're working for the experience. Like Sakari said, you're investing in yourself instead of, just asking for handouts and being like, hey, I'm worth this. But you have to build up your own value. In this world and anything that you do. So I think the people that are listening and watching, like these 2 amazing chefs are dropping knowledge and gems that you need to take, even if you could digest a fraction of what they're saying and be able to apply, because this is the work that it takes to actually get to the levels of where they're at, if they're inspired to be that.
And real quick, I do it to this day.
Right. You don't stop.
Like right now, as we speak, I'm actually going through something where I'm actually working for free right now. And I remember another chef told me I was fucking insane. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Why are you working for free? And I'm like, you can't think in the terms of like you're trading your time for money. You have to see the bigger picture. And so the reason why I really want to interject and say that is because it's not a thing that I'm just telling younger chefs to do. It's something that I like eat my own dog food. I'm practicing right now as we speak. I'm like working for free at this point in my career for people who've seen that like, oh, it's like you've done all these things or whatever. Right now, as we speak, I'm working for free for another opportunity that's bigger than most people can see. And so just to give people perspective.
Man, it's inspiring.
Practicing what you preach.
Yep. That's absolutely inspiring, man. Well, I feel like we've taken this episode in so many different ways.
Yeah, I guess I do have one last question. Adam, you mentioned San Giorgio, amazing pizza in Milwaukee, New York, the city of pizza. What is the best pizza place?
Lucali's.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
Yeah, it was.
That was quick. It's like people have asked him that before.
There's plenty of really good pizzas. El Industry is also like things like that. For me, the number one place is Lucali's, and it's for the experience that you get.
Okay.
You get a full-on experience. It's BYOB. There's no reservations. You go in and you have to stand in line for at least an hour before you're able to put your name on the list. And then you have to come back at a later time. You come in and the only thing that's on the menu is actually pizza and calzone. That's it. Sometimes they might do off-menu things if you're a special guest, but Jay-Z and Beyonce go there. A lot of famous people go there, but it's a local neighborhood spot. There's also another one in Miami, but I doubt it's as good. Lucali's, hands down, is my favorite pizza spot. Just delicious. But El Industry also is a close second. El Industry is they have really, really great dough. They actually take about 4 to 5 different types of flour that they import from Italy every single week, and all their pastries are handmade as well. And so their crust is some of the best crust in New York City. And so I would have to say El Industry is a close second.
All right, I'll have to.
That was a great question.
Yeah,
because there's so many spots out there, right. And you get to hear a lot of different people say different things. So we want to hear from the chefs, man. We don't want to hear
right.
We want to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you both for being on this show. Really, really appreciate your time, your energy, the experience, and the knowledge that you guys just dropped on here. If you could just shout out real quick, where can people find you? How can they get connected? And just share just a snapshot, because we did gloss over it, but just a snapshot of what your businesses are today. So that way people know hey, this is also how I can go experience what they do.
100%.
Yeah. So for me, Egg and Flour Pasta Bar in Bayview, which is in Milwaukee, 10 minutes south of downtown, super easy to get to. Fast casual pasta spot, but we extrude everything. We make all the sauces, make all the pasta, everything we do in-house, but very casual. You come up, order at the register, get a buzzer, sit wherever you want. We have arcade games, fun music, neons, a lot of artwork, stuff like that. Open kitchen. And you can find that on Instagram. So just Egg and Flour. And then on my Instagram is Adam_PAWLAK23. A lot of fun stuff on there that has to do with food and different events and videos, and my dog sometimes, it's just random stuff. So entertaining Instagram, but a lot of fun stuff too. And right now just working on having fun in summertime and working with other chefs and staying in town and doing a lot of private dinners. I'm in people's houses at least once or twice a week, or I'm doing a corporate event, Bucks, Brewers. I usually say yes to everything and I figure it out later. So if you have a crazy thing that you need,
life of an entrepreneur,
I'm your guy for that. But yeah, come check us out in Milwaukee, and don't doubt what this city has. I will say that we have more than what people think, and it really is a beautiful city. People say only come in summertime, but I think come year round.
We're a 4-season destination. Absolutely.
That's right.
I love it. Adam, you got to come to New York. Chef and founder of Noble Promise, which is our food media company. You can find us at Noble Promise Studios on YouTube. Right now, we're producing our new show, My Noble Promise, where I go around working at different restaurants and giving people an inside look into different restaurants. So that's a lot of fun. But yes, follow me on social media, Sakari Smithwick, and stay tuned for all the fun stuff that I have coming through. Fun.
Dope. And then where can people find out all things about Milwaukee?
Yeah, follow us. Visit Milwaukee on everything at Visit Milwaukee. Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. VisitMilwaukee.org. Check us out.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much. And if you're watching, listening, please subscribe to everything about this show. I have so many amazing episodes that you can go catch up on and be able to learn about the culinary arts all over the place, but definitely within Milwaukee. So until the next time, we'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya. Thanks.
Peace and love.
Thanks, guys.